Now that we're on this subject, I wanted to take the opportunity to address one of the biggest misconceptions that there is out there today, and that misconception would be that African people ultimately sold themselves into slavery. The reason why this is a big misconception or a canard is for two reasons. One, there is no historical narrative by any African king till this day to prove the validity of this. And two, the majority of the documentation to substantiate that black people actually, or African people actually sold themselves into slavery is ultimately coming from the European power structure or the European narrative. So with that being said, until we see some form of documentation to substantiate that Africans actually sold themselves into slavery, it's a misconception and a canard. And three, to further drive this home, I'm actually going to take the liberty to play a video from an African historian who can further substantiate what I'm saying.
Greetings, great people, or great Abyssinian people. Today, we are going to make a very serious declaration about a very disturbing charge. The declaration is, Africans did not sell you out. We did not sell our people at any time to anybody, and there is no evidence to support such an ignorant and devious conclusion. These are devastating charges. Charges that's preventing the African continent from moving forward. Charges that continuously surface just in time to nurture distrust, suspicion, and a feeling of worthlessness among our people all over the world. So let us shed some light on this matter so as to free our ancestors from this disgraceful and dishonorable charge. We must make it clear that there was never a market for buying and selling people in Africa before the arrival of Caucasian terrorists from Europe. Let's make that clear. There was never a market. Without naming names, he said that before he came, a number of us got together, kidnapped and sold each other. To whom and to where he did not say. Outside of his say-so, he has produced nothing to support his claim. Buying and selling is capitalism, and capitalism never existed in Abyssinia before the arrival of Caucasian man. So we know right from the start he's lying. We never kidnapped our people and sold them to the invader at any time. We were never paid to catch our people either. They did that sinful job themselves, and none of us was safe. It was Caucasian historians who started this lie and placed it in their books. Those books they gave to us after our so-called independence in the West, including the Caribbean. By this time, they realized the legal implications and decided to blame us for helping him to enslave us. It's like the stick-up man who sticks you up, take you to the bank, threatens to kill you unless you give him your PIN number. The thief then takes out your money, spends it, gets caught, and say he is only 50% responsible because you gave him the PIN number. What madness. In the meantime, him have a gun to your head. When you ask members of your own community who publicly repeat this story, when you ask them for proof, for evidence, to support what they say, what they repeat, they tell you to do the research. They say the information is out there. Out where? What they fail to understand is that the source of the information they present as fact is none other than the same Caucasian who enslaved us. See whose names appear as the writer, the publisher, and distributor of those research manuals. All of them are European names. Since the story is from him and him alone, how can we close the case? His story represents only one of the two parties involved. So what about the story from the other party? Where is our story? Where? Or maybe some of you think it is not necessary to hear from us. So when did we authorize Caucasians to speak on our behalf? When? We hear the story about the lion and the hunter. The hunter says the lion, whose head now lies stuffed above his fireplace, was a savage beast. Is that true? Have we heard the lion's side of the story? No. Why not? Because he's dead. He was killed by the guy telling the story, and dead lions tell no tale. what would be the testimony of Trayvon Martin if he had the opportunity to do so? Would it be the same as George Zimmerman? Here again, some of us might be domesticated enough to think that his testimony was not really necessary. That since Zimmerman was there, they would accept his account of what took place. And never have any of them, or anyone else for that matter, ever provided the name of a single king or chief, or ever provided a specific place or time where Africans were traded as slaves before the arrival of those terrorists from Europe. Never. It's like all the Western religious denominations. Regardless of their names, and there are many, all of them lead right back to Rome. Now, the question some of our people have is, how could a few criminals overtake the whole continent, capture millions of Africans, and take them away for hundreds of years? It's a good question. They ask about our great empires, our dynasties, our kingdoms and armies. To understand the answer, we have to ask, what defense do birds have against hunters with shotguns when their natural ability to fly is used against them as they move across the open sky? What defense do fishes in the ocean have against fishermen using nets over a mile wide? Sure, the fish can swim, but here again, the very nature of their being has caused them to be in an open environment that is used against them. Abyssinians are very kind and trusting. We were not prepared for this. We had no weapons to speak of. We are a peaceful people by nature, and that peace was used against us by wicked outsiders who had machine guns, who brought their lifestyle of war, destruction, and immorality to our continent. Columbus did not go into Africa with a few criminals and dominated the continent in 1492. By then, it was already conquered and no African was safe. We were never a part of their wicked conspiracy. Europeans are the only ones responsible. They were the invaders, they were the occupiers, they were the ones in charge, they had all the power, and they took all the benefits.